Well, Stu, it's great to hear that you're going to stay on for another year here because of the new projects that are coming up, and I wondered if you could kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
I can, John, and thank you for the kind words. There's a few companies that their projects will be coming together. Virgin Galactic, I believe you'll see it transition from flight test to operations, and they'll move first article down to New Mexico this next year. X-Corps, another one, will be entering and then hopefully completing flight test over the next 12 months. Mast and Space Systems just won another large NASA contract, and they'll be doing some fantastic vertical flying out of here, which will be exciting. And I hope it never becomes fully routine, because it still excites me. And then the Stratolaunch people, the project is well on its way, and hopefully over the next 17 months they'll be finding their vehicle ready for flight test. So those are just a snapshot of some of the bigger projects. And you know, I told you years ago that on my watch I would do my very best to leave the place better than I found it. And I think the short extension gets us a long way to that goal.
Yes, and you're finishing up your first year of leading the Space Consortium. And how is that going to transform itself during the next year?
Well, I took over as chairman of the board 2 years ago. And Michael Lopez Alegre, our president, took over as president 2.5 years ago. And it turns out both of us will be transitioning out our bylaws. And today we announced that our new president will be taking over, and that Michael will be staying on through October. My term ends, I think, the 10th of September, so just about a month from now. And it's been a lot of fun. The policy part of the job in Washington and Sacramento and other states has been challenging. But getting the policy right is important. And I think more importantly, and I've said this many times, it's even more important that we don't get it wrong. And so that's been fun. Working with Alex Saltman, Dr. Alex Saltman, and Michael Lopez Alegria, astronaut and former commander of the International Space Station. What a treat. And all the principals of the various space companies across the nation and some of the international clients. What an experience. And it really expands our reach right here in Mojave.
Are you going to serve as like immediate past president or some spot like that? No.
Actually, our bylaws call for 2 officers to step off the executive committee every year.
Oh, I see.
And this is actually my year to step off. Jeff Greason stepped off 2 years ago. Eric Anderson stepped off. He was the president and founder of Space Adventures and Zero G. Both of them are off. I will be stepping off the executive committee this year, and 2 new executive members will be brought up at an election in Jacksonville, Florida in September.
Sure. Let me stop. Well, glad you're staying on, but eventually you will transition. So the process of finding a replacement for this exciting place, what can you tell me about that?
John, the process, as I've defined it, is probably an 8-month process from the time you advertise. The type of person that would want to take on this job, if they're not already employed, would require leaving somewhere and then starting here, and that might also include a move. So the search, the advertisement, the search, the interviews, the offers, and then the exit, transition, relocation, and then start can easily consume eight months, sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah.
It can also be shortened if the person's from the local area, and it'll also be shortened even more if the person's a current employee. So those are the unknown unknowns. Along that line, Mojave is a different place than it was 13 years ago, and the activity going on here is different. And so the skill sets required, I mean, this is no longer just a Sleepy Hollow business. This is a thriving business dealing with large businesses. that are growing and very entrepreneurial. So a deep business background current in aerospace is probably important. Knowledge of the local community and where we fit in the greater aerospace valley, how we fit in a state that has had a major stake in aerospace traditionally, and where we fit in the nation is probably also important. But these are board decisions. I have an election coming up in November, and I have 4 board seats up for election this year. And having a board that has been as supportive as I've had for the last 12 plus years is important. And I think locally this could be one of the most important votes the voters consider in the valley. You know, I just can't thank the support I've had of the board over the last 12 years, and hopefully the local population in the voting precincts, which span basically Bacchus Road north along the aqueduct to Garlock, all of Cal City, and out east a ways. It's the Mojave Public School District at the bounds of the district. But anyway, all this is coming together at once. These are exciting times.
Yeah, never a dull moment here in Mojave with Witt on board. The grounds look beautiful. I said that in a public meeting, but there really has been great improvement for us that have been coming out here for lots and lots of years. In the last 2 or 3 years, the oleanders blooming and the new concrete poured and opening up the north side, all positive.
John, you know, some towns across the land, as they reinvent themselves, like Mojave, have a lot of warts.
Yeah.
And it's funny how people can accept the warts if they see you are constantly working to improve it.
True.
And people can accept a great deal
Yeah.
if they also recognize that you actually care and you're doing something about it.
Yeah.
So every day our crew, including me, from time to time is out there cutting weeds and working the oleanders and painting buildings, and my crew's just done a masterful job.
Yeah.
And I tip my hat to them, because that's not easy work in the hot sun. But over time, you have seen a major difference at Mojave, and
True enough.
you're starting to notice it, aren't you?
Yes.
You did mentioned it in board meetings, but
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Yes, yes. Yes, and the administration building, new stucco and new signs and all that really helps.
Yeah.
So best of luck on your extension
Thanks.
of duty here, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, John.
Good.